That worked pretty well. Since
Mhm.
then, that has become our largest enterprise account, worth almost $200,000 worth of business already. Apex level, founder level restructuring in a startup, always a very difficult. My first time in such a situation. So I think that really helped the way you helped me think about how to have that, how to manage myself in those conversations, getting calls with you, with knowing that it's a safe place, there's no judgment. That was really very helpful. Going from a founder to a CEO is sort of a bit of a different journey. It's not something that professional experience has prepared me for, but there were obviously concerns. It was completely new. How confidential will it be? How safe will it be? Will I be sort of judged or embarrassed? Would I be stuck with it? Those concerns were there. Give it a good shot. Try it with an open mind, because there is very little downside potentially to it.
Hi, Akhilesh.
Hey Yogi, hi. How are you?
I'm doing very well. I'm looking forward to our chat about our experience and your impressions of the coaching so far.
Yeah, likewise.
And just to start with, by the way, could you introduce yourself? What's your name? What do you do?
Yeah, hi. I am Akhilesh Majumdar. I'm based out of Bangalore, India. Father of two, married for 15 years, and an entrepreneur with a company focused in the home design AI space, majorly on in the US.
Nice. Awesome. And just to give us an overview of how long have you worked with us so far and overview of what has happened for you, your business, or other areas of your life since working with us.
I think we worked together for about 6 months now and have gone through various sort of phases, from sort of getting to frame the areas to work on, to actually picking up those areas, not necessarily one by one, but in the context of what's happening in the professional and personal spheres of life, and then being able to sort of maintain our focus through them. And I think, yeah, it has overall been very helpful, has clearly led to better decision making in terms of ensuring some of the critical inputs in that have been really addressed, worked upon. It also sort of has ensured that I'm able to start from a calmer place, even in terms of unfamiliar situations or stressful, confrontational, or difficult situations. And definitely been very helpful in terms of allowing me to understand how to frame an outlook on a particular event, on a particular discussion, navigate through multiple difficult conversations amid a difficult period in the business, even going from pretty difficult board level conversations, improving relationships with board members, and building trust, not just trust within the team and with the board members, but also with some clients who were sort of in new segments for the business. At that time, we really didn't have experience about what they need. So yeah, it's been a lot, and a lot has happened.
Can you help us contrast about where you were before starting to work with us?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I can sort of try to do that at a very high level, though I guess it's a question that merits deeper thought. But definitely, if I look at the before, it was a pretty turbulent time emotionally, professionally, and I was too much in the thick of all of it, very much like in the box. Yeah, not really able to see it in a different perspective would allow me to sort of navigate it better, more positively, and with better outcomes. And we sort of too attached to the whole goals that we were trying to achieve as a business, that I was trying to go for. But why I say too attached is because perhaps there was a larger picture which was there. And I felt at that time was trying to optimize locally rather than being able to see, or at least being able to be aware,
And by
that it
to
sort of,
attach, you mean
yeah,
attached to the local maxima, not
yeah,
the bigger
that's
picture.
right. Yeah, the
Mm,
local optima.
awesome. Now, through our work together and in the time that we worked, could you tell a few, like some tangible and intangible results that we have seen together?
Yeah, sure. Again, definitely a question that merits much deeper thought. And I think there would definitely be a lot that I wouldn't be covering in whatever I can in this limited time, top of my mind. There would definitely be a lot more that we're not covering.
Mhm.
Definitely one of the easiest, it may sound very transactional, but one of the easiest things to think of is that we landed a client, which was a large company. We landed some smallish orders that suddenly grew in a way that we hadn't seen before. We realized this guy was from a completely new segment that our business hasn't been focusing on, but perhaps which is an area of PMF and therefore quite critical to learn more. And I remember I was scheduling a meeting with the guy and we talked about it, and you suggested me to get in a certain frame of mind, ask him, frame certain questions. Really like how can we be a 20 out of 10? Or if I were to maybe draw a parallel to this, the 11-star experience, right, as they say. And I think that really helped that conversation.
Hmm.
So shared that with the team, our team, and we all sort of got in the game, said, all right, let's figure out how we think we can be a 20 out of 10 and let's ask Greg. And I think that worked pretty well. Since
Mhm.
then, that has become our largest enterprise account, worth almost $200,000 worth of business already. So pretty cool, I would say, right? So that is sort of, obviously you can't connect the dots directly to outcomes always, but definitely you get a feeling from within of what efforts count how much. And I felt personally that this actually would have counted a lot. And of course, some of these other things that we discussed. So apex level, founder level restructuring in a startup, always a very difficult time. My first time in such a situation. I mean, second, but in such a situation first. I mean, the first one was actually more amicable in my previous venture, but in this venture, it was a tough one. So I think that really helped the way you helped me think about how to have that, how to manage myself in those conversations, how to sort of get to an outcome, which is a desirable and very critical outcome for the business as well. And obviously also having these conversations at the board level, right? So that was, I think, pretty good overall, being able to also get in calls with you with knowing that it's a safe place, there's no judgment. That was really very helpful, and that set the stage for the realization I would do the work and help me understand the nature of the work and what that work would entail and the whole thing around that. And
And
that
what
then
the inner work you're talking about also here and outer work.
yeah, exactly. So inner work, outer work, reflection, practice. So yeah, I think quite a lot, I guess, but I'm
Awesome.
sure
Yeah.
much less
So
than would actually have happened.
yeah, and what are you looking forward to next year? And maybe you can summarize like what the difference, and then what are you looking forward to next year going forward?
Yeah, well, I have a lot of trust now on this process, and therefore I'm looking to deeply immerse myself, deeply commit to the process, and also deeply commit to doing the work, the reflection, the practice, right, and seeking help. Also, I think all of that I want to strongly put in the professional context that I'm in. Clear to me that there is a very high ROI on that for me personally as well. And therefore, in a way, it's like want to take the steps that will help me, because I think that will eventually help me evolve into the role of CEO. I mean, going from a founder to a CEO is sort of a bit of a different journey.
You have the
Then
title, but actually becoming a
yeah,
executive CEO, right?
yeah, that's right. And it's not something that professional experience has necessarily prepared me for, my earlier professional experience.
What were some doubts or some questions you had about whether a coaching will work for you or not?
So I think, obviously there was no real doubt at a fundamental level, given the kind of introduction and the references that I had for you. Obviously, these are already my mentors and truly value, not always like, but truly value their interventions from time to
Well,
time.
really
And
helpful. You don't always like.
yes, yes, but has always been helpful, even if it's something that has happened over time. And so there was no real doubt that this is something that will be very good. But there were obviously concerns. It was completely new, hadn't actually come across other founder friends who have done this a lot, right? And so, yeah, there were lingering concerns. How confidential will it be? How safe will it be? Will I be sort of judged or embarrassed, right? Or would I be basically be able to take it well? If I do develop some sort of negative perception of it, then would I be stuck with it? Right. So those concerns were there, because obviously I was looking at it as like a, minimum sometime I'll do it. But I think, yeah, as we started working together, I think probably would have taken, I don't know, 8 to 12 weeks. But I think by that time we had covered enough ground, although it's not that we met met every week, but we met often enough. And I think, yeah, so the doubts were dispelled sort of fairly quickly in this period.
So now looking back, Akhilesh, what would you say to yourself now that you have the changes, the doubts are dispelled? What would you say to that version of Akhilesh who had the doubts?
Well, I would say, firstly, trust the process, trust your ability to apply what you've learned, right? And know that there are answers within
I love that
it.
answers within.
Yeah, they can surface as you sort of view them from the right lens, the right perspective, and that you may need help to do that. You may not be able to do that on your own, and perhaps may not want to do so, depending on the context, sort of the gravity of the context. But yeah, and it is always fun, interestingly quite relevant, that there are always dots to connect of how you navigate one situation, learn through some concept, and how then that connects to some other situation. What applied to a client would tomorrow potentially apply to a co-founder or a board member or an employee or the wife. So I think that's both quite fun and quite real.
Anything else would you like to say to someone who is thinking of joining our coaching but isn't sure about the coaching would work or is a good thing, or with somebody thinking about working with us? What would you say?
Well, I would say if you have actually come so far, then you definitely owe it to yourself to give it a good shot. Try it with an open mind, because there is very little downside potentially to it except for the time that you will have to put. But it should eventually result in a very high delta in areas that you care about. So it's definitely, if you've come so far, definitely worth a shot.
Awesome. Thank you, Akhilesh. Thank you for taking the time. I think it's very inspiring what you have achieved, and it has been a really joy working with you.
Well, absolutely. Likewise, Yogi. It's been an absolute pleasure.